TANESCO directed to ensure citizens receive reliable electricity without any excuses. Interior designers see growing opportunities in residential and public construction projects. And in sports, preparations are underway for the National Open Swimming Championship next week. Good evening. This is Capital News at 9:30. My name is Vanessa Victor. Let's start things off with the national news. The Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Doto Biteko, who is also the Minister of Energy, has directed Tanzania Electric Supply Company to ensure citizens receive reliable electricity, adding that citizens do not need to hear any excuses, but instead TANESCO should ensure the service is available at all times.
Wanataka umeme. Hata tungekuwa na mipango ya namna gani, tukazungumza chochote, tukaeleza kwa ufundi wa aina yoyote, Watanzania wanachotaka ni umeme. Hiyo ndo output wanayotaka mwishoni. Sasa wanaweza wasijali sana mchakato wa Watanzania kupata umeme. Sisi lazima tujali mchakato wa kuwapatia umeme. Inawezekana ziko sababu nyingine kwa nini hawezi kupata umeme, ziko nje ya uwezo wetu, ama nyingine ziko kwenye mazingira ambayo control yake iko kabisa nje ya uwezo wetu. Watanzania hiyo sio hoja kwao. Hoja yao wanataka umeme.
Tayari wa kushirikiana na uongozi tulionao katika kuhakikisha huduma bora zinapatikana. Pia tuna utayari kwenye kushiriki katika mwenendo unaotuongoza kuliendesha shirika kufikia TANESCO mpya.
Umeme binafsi nimelipokea kwa shukrani kubwa sana, kwa sababu kero ya umeme imekuwa kubwa, lakini imani kubwa kwa Mheshimiwa Naibu Waziri Mkuu ya kwamba jambo hilo atalishughulikia na tutapata umeme.
The government's stance on the need of education to be provided under the Constitution to be done for 3 years has led to varying discussions and opinions from stakeholders of political parties and democracy in the country on its effectiveness in completing the exercise.
Serikali imezungumza juu ya elimu. Hakuna anayekataa elimu. Kitu ambacho kinawatia watu wasiwasi ni darasa la watu milioni 61 la miaka mitatu. That is the problem. Inaonyesha wazi ni kama vile serikali inatafuta njia ya kuwepa huu mchakato wa kikatiba kwa ujanja.
Kweli Mheshimiwa Mwenyekiti, tunahitaji elimu. Iko hivi, Tume Huru ya Uchaguzi ambayo ndio inatakiwa tukafanyia marekebisho kwenye katiba inayopendekezwa tumeiweka kwenye ibara ya 217. Iko vizuri sana. Lakini matokeo ya rais kuhojiwa mahakamani kwenye katiba inayopendekezwa tumeweka ibara ya 90. Kweli nimegundua kinachozungumzwa elimu hiyo haipo. Mimi tunaomba mkono huu tumuunge mkono Mheshimiwa Rais. Tutoe elimu ya katiba, lakini tuwafundishe hii katiba inayopendekezwa ambayo walikimbia, hawajaisoma, hawajui.
Nadhani minimum reform iwe minimum kwa mambo ambayo ni ya lazima katika mpito, ili tufike mahali. Maana kuna wengine wanasema na bunge na roho hawana imani. Sasa tufanye minimum kwa hili, alafu maximum tufanye kwa lijaro.
Zile ripoti za tume ya Jaji Warioba ambazo zilikuwa zaidi ya 10 nadhani, hivi sasa ni vigumu kweli kuzipata katika tovuti. Taarifa hizi zikaweza kupatikana kwa urahisi kwa sababu zina mafunzo mengi na zinaeleza wazi kwamba baada ya kuifanya kazi tume ya Jaji Warioba ikabaini kwamba kumbe Watanzania wanajua mambo gani wanataka yawemo ndani ya katiba.
The Minister of Finance, Dr. Mwigulu Nchemba, while meeting with the new resident representative of the International Monetary Fund, IMF, Sebastian Acevedo, among other things, they discussed, has assured that the government is taking all the steps to ensure the US dollar and the fuel shortage are fully resolved so that economic activities are not affected.
Moja kubwa, rais amejikita katika kuwekeza kwenye sekta za uzalishaji ambapo malengo makubwa ni kuongeza kipato na kupunguza umaskini kwa wananchi wa Tanzania, ikiwa kilimo, mifugo, kilimo, ufugaji na uvuvi ni sekta zinazotoa ajira kubwa kwa Watanzania. Bajeti kubwa zaidi imeelekezwa huko, tofauti na miaka mingi iliyopita ambapo bajeti kubwa zilikuwa zinaenda katika sekta zinazoajiri watu wachache. Matunda yake hayatakuwa ya mara moja, lakini tunaamini irrigation schemes zitakapoanza kuzalisha, maisha ya watu wengi sana yatabadilika.
The recovery has been going well after COVID, after the Ukraine and Russia war shock. We're pretty happy the way that the economy has been recovering, that growth has rebounded, not to the same levels, but you're getting there, and that inflation is getting back under control. It was never outside of control, but it's nice to see that it's trending back to pre-shocks levels.
The director of the Jakaya Kikwete Cardiac Institute, Dr. Peter Kisenge, has commended the King Salman Center for Humanitarian Aid from Saudi Arabia, which is continuing to provide services to almost 30 children with cardiac issues, reducing the cost to transport the children to India.
Center attended 100 pediatric. The total cost of this treatment, it is about $320 US. If you estimate in Tanzanian shillings, it's about 801 millions. In 1921, they came again and operated almost 60 patients. In 1922, they came again here at Jakaya Kikwete and operated 199 patients. So you can just imagine many kids have been operated.
For the great humanitarian work they do, which may save souls and bring happiness to entire families. These benevolent have affected comfort for their many preoccupations and applications in order to leave a humanitarian imprint, transcending the borders of their country to other countries, following the word of the Almighty God.
Tanzania Wildlife Authority Tower has said that the construction of special centers for officers to chase away wild animals that are destructive, including elephants that invade farms and homes, has helped reduce deaths, injury and destruction of crops in various villages, especially those next to national reserves.
Vituo viko 16 nchi nzima. Ni kuitikia mwito wa Mheshimiwa Rais Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan ambao aliagiza kwamba hivi vituo vijengwe, ikiwa ni changamoto ya kuzuia wanyama wakali na waharibifu hususani hawa tembo. Kwa hiyo kwa upande wa Morogoro, hiki kituo kiko kwa eneo la Sangasanga katika wilaya ya Mvomero, na ambao unakuta tumeweka askari wetu wa uhifadhi, lakini vile vile wanakuwepo na askari wa baadhi ya game scout kutoka vijijini ambao wanashirikiana na askari wetu endapo tembo atatokeza au watasikia kwamba kuna dalili ya tembo. Kwa hiyo vituo vyetu wanakuwa standby.
Meanwhile, residents of Nero-1, Nachingwea District, Lindi region have complained of large groups of elephants from Selous National Park in Diwali District, destroying their crops, including peas and cashews, and threatening their food security and personal safety.
Tembo wanatuasili, wanakula vitu vyetu, hatuna mahindi, hatuna mbaazi, maisha yetu magumu kiujumla. Wanatuasili, kisimani hatuendi, wanafika hadi bombani. Yaani mwisho wetu saa 9. Kama sasa hivi haendi mtu, ina maana tembo wameshaenda. Chakula tunapata kwa shida, tunanunua mahindi.
Kero kubwa ni mashamba wanakula tembo. Wanakula tembo, njaa imeingia. Watu wanalamika mashamba yao, tutakula nini? Na mimi mwenyewe pia tutakula nini?
The country manager of the Catholic Relief Services, Kelly Hines, has said that their organization will continue to find solutions and ways to ensure consistent rural water supply in Tanzania. Hines said this when meeting with stakeholders to discuss how to best provide access to clean and safe water through the construction of various water points.
We are here today to discuss an important sector for Tanzania, but also for Catholic Relief Services in the communities where we work, and that is access to clean water. We have worked in Tanzania for over 60 years now, and in that time, our support to the WASH sector has been an important part of the work that we do in Tanzania. We currently are working on a project in Mbeya, where we have been part of, in this recent project, the construction of more than 93 water points and giving over 400 points of access of water to households across several districts of Mbeya.
Yes, there are a number of challenges around water supply in rural areas, including the logistic for the supply chain of facilities or spare parts for water systems, but also we have observed issues in terms of operation and maintenance, but also compliance with the government regulations, but also the issues with willingness of community to contribute for service after the implementation of this project, but also we are working very closely with RUWASA to ensure that all these challenges are being tackled and the projects are being sustainable.
And the Eurozone economy will see growth of just under 1% this year, according to the latest figures. The weak figures come amid soaring inflation rates. For more on this, I'm joined by Deutsche Welle's Arthur Sullivan. So, Arthur, what does the latest data tell us about the state of the EU economy?
So these figures really tell a story of sluggish growth and sapped confidence across the European economy. Now, this new data comes from the European Commission, that's the executive wing of the EU, and it's downgraded its growth forecast to just around 0.8% for this year. Now, as across much of the world, high inflation is a big factor here, hitting demand, with consumers really being put off by high prices. Economic activity has been hit in a number of sectors because of those rising costs. High energy prices are particularly a big problem. Now, there isn't a whole lot of confidence that it's going to improve before the end of the year. Other factors that are hitting the European economy, a fall in manufacturing activity, ongoing trade turbulence with China, and that there is really caused by a combination of a slowdown within China and European countries reassessing economic ties with China itself. And what's really notable about these figures is just how far behind the US economy it puts the European economy. That's been the case since the pandemic began, and the problem seems to be getting stronger, in fact, for Europe since the pandemic ended.
The news is particularly bad for Europe's largest economy, Germany. Is it something of an outlier in Europe at the moment?
It really is. I mean, Germany is Europe's economic powerhouse, by a distance the biggest economy, but it's also the worst affected major economy going by this data. It's in recession, and forecasts say that it's going to contract by around 0.4% this year. And that's quite a big swing from the last estimate, which had Germany recording modest growth for the year. Now, Germany's story is in many ways similar to the European story. Sluggish consumer spending is hitting the economy. Germany is a nation of savers at the best of times, but high prices have really been putting people off this year. And it's something that I think people here are really feeling when they go into the shops, into the supermarkets for everyday items. There's a strong sense that value just isn't there for the consumer at the moment. And underpinning all this, as it is with Europe as a whole, are those high energy prices. Germany, course, has other longer-term economic problems which are sapping confidence. That ranges from a shortage of skilled workers to the ongoing energy transition away from Russian gas, bureaucratic overreach, problems with digital infrastructure, physical infrastructure. In many respects, the economic mood really is quite dark in what we must acknowledge is still the world's fourth largest economy.
And what are the implications of a struggling Germany for the world economy?
Well, the first impact, of course, is Europe-wide. I mean, as I said before, Germany is the European economic engine. It's a trade superpower. It makes up around a third of the EU's total economic output. So if Germany's struggling, if it's to use that phrase that's been used before, the sick man of Europe, well, then of course it's going to have an impact on the European economy, and that then does have a knock-on effect for the global economy. But to see the overall impact on the globe is a little tricky. Obviously, when the European economy is not firing on all cylinders, that does have an impact on trade partnerships where there are particularly strong trade, for example, with China, but it's not the kind of global economic engine that the US economy is, for example. And it's also worth remembering that if Germany is struggling, that might provide an opportunity for some countries to come into its territory, namely in certain export fields, because soaring costs for German producers, particularly in industrial and high energy intensive industries, is presenting opportunities for rivals to take some of that business which German companies would previously have hoovered up.
Also, the energy crisis is a big reason for the economic problems. Germany has been in talks with some African countries on energy supply. Any updates as to how these relationships are developing?
Right, so last year, Germany and other European countries wanted to stop buying Russian gas as fast as possible because of the war in Ukraine. And they immediately started looking to some African countries as possible energy partners. A joint project between Senegal and Mauritania, financed by UK and US companies, was one such gas operation that Germany expressed interest in, and they had talks with Senegal about this. Now, this project has had a lot of difficulties for various reasons, and it is yet to start delivering LNG gas, but that could start from 2024 if all goes well. Both the Senegal and German governments remain open to a deal being done, but it very much remains something for the future. Now, we should mention as well that Italy did sign gas deals with Algeria and Angola last year, but there are still real question marks over the extent to which energy deals such as these will be done and how much they will ultimately deliver. Aside from the fact that European countries like Germany are under pressure to meet their climate goals and ultimately move away from fuels like gas, there is also a lot of pressure on the African side to get these projects up and running, to receive the kind of finance that they need, and ultimately to produce at the kind of capacities that would be required. But it's still very much something that is for the future.
Thank you very much, Arthur, for that special report. And that is the end of the National News. Business News follows up next. In business news, the Fair Competition Commission, the FCC, in collaboration with the business community at the Carriacou International Market in Dar es Salaam, have agreed to implement an inspection operation on fake products due to influx of such goods at the market.
Wafanye biashara halali kwa manufaa yao wenyewe. Wengine anakuja kukuambia, bwana, unajua mimi nimefanya biashara bandia, sasa unanisaidiaje? Wanatumia fursa ya wale wafanyabiashara halali, wakitizama wakaona wananufaika, nao wanapenyeza biashara bandia katika bidhaa zinazofanana na zile ambazo ni halali.
Kwa hiyo naomba niwatoe wasiwasi wafanyabiashara wote wa Kariakoo kwamba Fair Competition Commission, timu nzima mnayoiona, tumekubaliana kushirikiana kwa dhati kabisa na jumuiya ya wafanyabiashara Kariakoo.
The demand for interior designers in Tanzania is growing due to the developing real estate sector in the country, a situation that has also been contributed to by a developing market for personalized designs for residential and public construction projects.
Interior designers help you avoid design mistakes by helping you design your space according to the space and layout and functionality of the space. Interior designers help personalize or give character to your place, buildings, a home or a commercial building. The demand right now is rising compared to before. but there's still people that think interior designers they can design their homes on their own, but it's more than designing a space. It's more than buying furniture and bringing it to your home. It's more of really planning out your space and making your space look more beautiful and more organized and cohesive. Yes, because interior designers take a 360 dimension of the whole house. We just think of everything. We have to connect dots from the front door to the back end. Everything we have to think of everything so that the home can look more put together or more organized.
And more than 254 illegal routes have been discovered along the border between Tanzania and Zambia at Tunduma area in Songwe region that are used by tax evaders to smuggle goods into the country, including banned products.
Venye hivyo hupitisha magendo kwa kutumia magari madogo, pikipiki, baiskeli na waenda kwa miguu. Kwa hiyo tumeendelea kudhibiti vitendo hivi kwa kuziba baadhi ya njia kwa mawe makubwa, lakini pia kwa kupata taarifa kutoka kwa wasamaria wema.
Endapo watakamatwa na biashara za magendo, hatua zitachukuliwa, na sisi hatupendi sana kuchukulia watu hatua, hivyo tunasisitiza wapite kwenye mpaka. Sisi tupo tayari kuwaelimisha, kuwasaidia, kuhakikisha kwamba wanatumia vizuri mpaka wetu wa Tunduma.
That's where we leave off with business news. Sports news is next. Now in sports. Swimmers have continued with preparations for the National Open Championship, which is scheduled to take place next week at the IST pool in Masaki area, Dar es Salaam.
Competition was really good, and the swimmers has been able to reduce their timing, so they got the new PBs, which is really good. Now we even managed to break the record of the relay, which was set up by their seniors, and this made us in a very good place. We also managed to put swimmers who went for long distance. It was the best for Tanzania to be shown in that because we were the only African who went for 800, and that was really good for us. Coming back to Tanzania, we are ready for the National Open Championship, which is going to be next weekend at IST Upanga. It's a competition where we'll...
And the winners of the Tanzania Ladies Golf Open 2023, scheduled to take place from September 15th to 17th, will participate in the coming international competition in Rwanda.
Mashindano hayo hufanyika mara moja kila mwaka, na katika mashindano ya wanawake ya golf mengine yanakuwa ni yameandaliwa na chama na vilabu vinakuwa vinafanya kazi pamoja kuandaa mashindano ya
Tanzania Football Federation TFF has signed a contract with Star Times for TV rights to broadcast the Championship League for 3 years.
Kila kitu kuwa hadharani. Watu wametumia kutoonyeshwa kwa michezo hii live kuweza kufanya mambo yao ya ajabu, lakini kuna wengine kutumia nafasi hiyo hata kama hawajafanywa mambo ya ajabu kuzusha kwamba wamefanywa mambo ya ajabu. Kwa hiyo kila kitu kitakuwa hadharani.
Hiyo si swala la kuonyesha tu, lakini pia wachezaji wetu wataweza kupata nafasi ya kujiuza au kuuzika nje ya nchi, kwa sababu Star Times inapatikana nchi zaidi ya 23.
And that sports item ends our news bulletin for tonight. My name is Vanessa Victor. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.